Today we're going to show you how to wire up your landscape lighting system. This applies to any landscape lighting system. It isn't just Haven lighting system, so you can apply this to any lighting, low voltage lighting system that you are doing. We're going to show you the wire coming from the trunk line, from the transformer, going to the first light. It's pretty repetitive, and then we'll show you the end of the trunk line as well. You can have multiple trunk lines. It's all the same premise. Here we go. So we're about ready to wire up this light. This is the first light in the chain of lights coming from the transformer. I have this light already run from the this wire already run from the transformer. We've got the wire coming from the light, and I've got this wire that's going out to those trees to continue the run, hooking up those lights as well. So we have the connectors from Haven that came with the lights themselves. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the big piece, and I like to use the strippers in two ways. So you can grab the end and just strip the two, peel the two legs back on the wire to split the two different wires. And we're going to do the same thing, cut a little bit off there, with all the wires. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece, we're going to run each one wire from each side. Doesn't matter which wire, but one from each into this connector. Like that. I'm going to take my strippers. I'm going to strip back a little bit more on the smaller wire coming from the light than I am the other two. So I'm going to use the smaller wire to wrap around the other two wires here. You'll see this when I twist them together. You don't want to strip too much back because I'll show you in a minute. What I like to do is get all the bottoms kind of even. Twist them together. So when you do this, when you spin them back, it doesn't matter which wire it goes, you just want one from each. You can't have two from one, two. You can't put these two in the same one, or that's a dead short. Then we've got crimpers, which are very important. You're going to crimp that piece together, a little ferrule over that. And then the last piece that comes with this is filled with dielectric grease inside there. So I'm going to pull these back to about there. I'm going to make sure the dielectric grease covers all of the copper there. That's important. And then I'm going to push it in until it pops. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Also important, it is important that the transformer is turned off right now. So just for safety purposes, even though it is low voltage and you can literally grab this when it's hot, you really don't want to. So for safety purposes, make sure the transformer is turned off. So this wiring system, this wiring methodology, it would be for any low voltage landscape lights. It doesn't matter if it's Haven, it doesn't matter if it's smart lighting, all of it's going to be the same in any configuration. Most of the lights out there do not come with connectors, ours do. So again, make sure that's completely covered just like that. And I'm just gonna work it, push it down, you're gonna hear it pop. That's it. So if you can see directly over there, we have the wire that's gonna go, this spool is gonna go to that tree and then continue on over to the other tree. This is actually the last light in the chain on this trunk line. So in this case, there's only going to be two wires that go in the connector. Same principle, but this is the last light in the run here. I always just, if the wires come with this, I always just cut that off because it's easier to strip back and easier to put in the connector. So same principle for the last light, it's just you only have two wires. So you're gonna only put two wires in here, one from each one. Again, it doesn't matter which wire from each one, just make sure it's one from each each bundle of wire here. I'm going to strip it back. I usually strip it back, it's probably like 3/8 of an inch on the big wire and a little bit more on the small wire. And I'm just gonna twist those together, put the crimp ferrule on. Crimp that on. And we'll get our end cap with the dielectric grease in it. Dielectric grease does not harden over time, so this will always stay thick and greasy, and that's what keeps the water out of the light. It's not silicone. A lot of people think it's silicone. It is not. Silicone will harden over time, and it will allow water in eventually with the heating and cooling over the years in the ground. Do the other side. Again, I do about a 1/2 inch on the small wire, about 3/8 on the big wire. Doesn't have to be exact. You just want to make sure it all gets covered with the dielectric grease and the connector. Pull it through a little bit, and we'll put the end cap on. All done. So we're at the end of the house. We're actually at the point where we ran up the gutter. So now we want to connect the wire coming down from the gutter that's still got our piece of metal, so we could use the magnet, and we're going to cut that off. And we're going to connect that to the trunk line and this light together, so the run continues up the gutter to the lights on the roof. So this is no different than we've done before. So we've got our trunk line. Here's our trunk line here. We've got our trunk line coming from the rest of the lights. We've got our trunk line going up to the gutter, and we've got our light here. So we're going to connect all three of these together, just like we did before, and then the lights on the roof will have power. That's it. So you'll notice that we have our trunk line coming from the light before over to this light, but the trunk line's already laid down and all set for us. Now when you make a trunk line, you don't just want to lay the wire straight across. You want to leave a loop like this everywhere there's a light. So when you actually cut the wire to connect it into the light, then you've got some slack to make that connection. So if you make it straight across, if you cut the wire, there's not enough wire there to make the connection. So make sure you leave a loop everywhere there's a light, and you'll be all ready to go. When setting the light and placing the light, you want to be about 12 to 18 inches out from the house. Now, it depends on what kind of vegetation you have in the way on how far you can be. One of the other important factors is that you want to make sure that all the lights are kind of equidistant from the house, so you get the same kind of V going up and brightness against the house. So those are the two things that you really want to pay attention to: distance from the house and equidistant all the way down.